What's up everyone, OJ here, welcome back to another Nintendo video. Today we're taking a look and seeing if the Nintendo Switch can be stopped in 2019. I don't think so. We're looking over all this data here that I got for you guys, and it's looking pretty crazy for Nintendo in 2019. Let's first start off with the March 2019 NPD. We got some leaked estimates of sales numbers. Shout outs to my boy Direct Feed Games for getting this to me. But at the bottom, Xbox One with 220,000 units sold. Next up, PlayStation 4 with 250,000 units sold. And number one, the Nintendo Switch with 383,000 units sold for the month. Let me repeat that, guys. 383,000 units sold for the month of March. Only here in the US. That's not counting Europe. That's not counting like Japan. That's not counting anything else, but just here in the US. Nearly selling 400,000 units with only Yoshi coming out at the very end shows that the marketing and other things that Nintendo is doing is absolutely killing it. And I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop the Nintendo Switch when it comes to the sales numbers, when it comes to the positive momentum. This is just nuts. I haven't seen Nintendo win an NPD this big in quite some time. And especially in a March when there really wasn't a ton of games for the first quarter of 2019. Really all we had was Travis Strikes Again, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. We also had Yoshi, and that was pretty much it when it comes to the bigger titles on the system, and really it's just being carried. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had a great March NPD when it comes to the top 20 sales, so I think that really Super Smash Bros. And the games that came out last year, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, well, that was actually 2 years ago, 2017, but all the games that were on the system before are kind of carrying it and making it kind of unstoppable when it comes to these sales numbers, because that is a clear, solid 130,000 plus more than the second place system on there. And this is the best sales Nintendo's had when it comes to March year on year over what they did the year before, over what they've been doing. So it's just been absolutely nuts with this type of momentum that Nintendo does have. Now let's talk a little bit more about some other things here, because not only was the Nintendo Switch the best selling platform for the month, but also the quarter, like I talked about. From 2019 to this point right now, pretty much it's been the best selling. No other system has sold as much. And remember, there was Anthem, Metro, Sekiro. All of these games came out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One PC in between this time period, yet the Nintendo Switch was still the top selling system for this quarter. So that's just absolutely incredible for the Q1 when people thought that, hey, things might be able to dip here because they don't have a big game coming out in that first quarter. But that is not the case, and that actually leads very well into Nintendo's financials, which we're going to be talking about, I think on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday or something like that, or it might be Wednesday. But this week, essentially, we're going to be getting the financials for Nintendo, and it's going to kind of show that unstoppable nature that they've been doing since the Switch launched back in 2017, going really well. We did see them kind of dip when it comes to some of the NPDs, still up year on year, but dip on some of the NPDs last year, not being able to pull it out. But this year has been absolutely incredible. And of course, Super Smash Bros., that really pushed things and boosted things. And even like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, that also boosted things up considerably. And that's really where it started. I think from November, then all the way up until this point, it's just been like an unstoppable kind of force when it comes to the Switch, which is good. You want to see that because more developers are going to say, okay, we're going to develop for this system. It all comes full circle when it comes to this sales here. It's not just talking about sales and all that just because it's actually going to get us more content on the system. So let's talk a little bit more about some other stuff here that could be making the Nintendo Switch's 2019 unstoppable. There is more information coming out from Bloomberg. They have some sources that are talking about a Nintendo Switch Mini and also a Pro. I'm going to read off some of the article here, and of course links in the description below. Quote, growth in a current period will get a boost from the launch of a new, cheaper version of the Nintendo Switch, according to two people familiar with the matter who requested anonymity to discuss private plans. The new device will likely be launched by the end of June, according to one of the people. The existing Switch will receive a modest upgrade this year, though a more powerful version is not in the works, the people said. So let's talk about this and let's break it down, because this kind of has some large ramifications based on what we've heard before with what some other people have stated with a more powerful version of the Nintendo Switch in the works that came out from somebody. I forgot exactly who. I know Wall Street Journal talked about something, but then there was the Nikkei. Yeah, Nikkei talked about a more powerful Switch, a next generation Switch. they're saying that's not really necessarily in the works here. So Bloomberg is saying what the original one was here with the Wall Street Journal, or even Eurogamer, saying that there's going to be a Nintendo Switch Mini, and that was starting by this summer. We could see Nintendo Switch Mini, and then later in the year we could see like a new Nintendo Switch, or like remember how like the Nintendo 3DS that had like the new Nintendo 3DS, and it was a modest, nothing groundbreaking jump from what we saw from the regular 3DS. That's what we could be seeing here. That's what they're saying, because they are saying that there's going to be a Switch Mini, and that's going to boost up the sales of the system for June, or boost up the sales of the system this year in 2019, and then a modest boost later down the line. So I think based on what we've heard now, so now that is 3 separate, usually pretty solid and reliable places, with Bloomberg, also with Wall Street Journal and Eurogamer, all saying that there's going to be a Nintendo Switch Mini, and then there's also going to be like a new Nintendo Switch with a modest bump to it, but nothing crazy. I'm thinking at this point there's enough smoke there to be some serious fire. And if you look at what Nintendo's done with their modular systems in the past, that's kind of what made them so unstoppable before, right? If you look at what they did with the Game Boy, that sold over what, 110 million? I think it's at nearly 120 million units for the Game Boy. You know what really revitalized things? Having a cheaper models, right, over the years, having more sleeker models, than having a big killer app like Pokemon to really rejuvenate things in the mid to late 90s there. So I think that Nintendo could be taking the same type of course of action in order to continue the momentum and continue this in 2019. Having a smaller, cheaper Nintendo Switch could be their Game Boy Pocket, or it could be their Nintendo DS Lite. And that's probably the biggest thing that we can kind of compare things to here, is that, because the DS was kind of bigger and a bit bulky at times, and some people say that about the Nintendo Switch, but the DS Lite was a very sleek and smaller device here. Now, of course, the Nintendo DS compared to the Nintendo Switch, obviously the Nintendo Switch is much better looking than what the DS was originally, but you guys get what I'm trying to say here. I think this can really keep up the momentum, because having a cheaper option is always a good option. No matter what, no matter if you like the features or not, or think that, oh, whatever, I want to get this one, or I want more power or not, whatever the case is, having a cheaper option is always a good option when it comes to consumer electronics. That's why there's multiple versions of cell phones and Samsung Galaxies and iPhones and tablets and all of that. You want to have that cheaper option, and Nintendo knows that they want to continue with this domination that they're having. They have to make sure that they get a cheaper option for parents to pick up, and also for multiple just people that want to have a Switch. I think that you're going to see a lot of people say, I'm going to keep this Switch docked with the new Nintendo Switch, right, the more powerful one, or even their base Switch, and then when I go out, I'm going to have my Nintendo Switch Mini, like a portable Switch that's like a real portable Switch that's tiny, or maybe it's modular like a PS Vita. And I would think that's how they would make the system a lot smaller, make the screen size right around the same, and then also make it to where there's no Joy-Cons that detach. It's just a modular system like a PS Vita. So that's what I'm thinking they're going to do to continue that momentum. So it just makes sense when you kind of put all of it together. Once again, we've had multiple different people kind of come out and say here, but what are all the ramifications for this, and why is it important, and what does this do to make them unstoppable? Well, if you look at what we're talking about here, right, the cheaper price, look at what's already been going on at the price tag of $299, the Switch is doing this well. Imagine when it's cheaper, and imagine when it gets some of those same catalyst games that we've seen for Nintendo in the past. Like, for example, the Nintendo 3DS. One of the big catalysts was Mario Kart, right? One of the big catalysts was Super Mario 3D World. But another game that kind of pushed things more than what people didn't talk about as much, or at least people don't talk about, is Fire Emblem. That really helped out the Nintendo 3DS throughout that year in Japan in 2012. And then also when it came out here early in 2013. People really started looking at the 3DS differently when that game came out and it got those reviews. What's coming out this year? Fire Emblem, especially with Japan being able to play Fire Emblem on that portable system. That's something that I think that's really going to help out here. Also, what's another game that was big for Nintendo 3DS back when it was coming out, and even the original Game Boy? Pokemon. What game is coming out this year for the Nintendo Switch? Pokemon. So you guys know Nintendo probably wants to have that out there, and I think it's going to be a really big boon for the Nintendo Switch having that, but also having that more powerful option there too. We saw it with the Nintendo 3DS, right? I guess back then with the Game Boy, you can call it like the Game Boy Color, and that was like a big step up for people to have that color on there. But with the Nintendo DS, you also had the Nintendo DSi, which was actually more powerful as well, had more RAM, had the shop and everything. So they've been doing this for generations now when it comes to their modular and portable systems. And Nintendo Switch is a hybrid. It can be portable when it needs to be, it can be docked and be a console when it needs to be, and they can adjust the price and be flexible with what they're doing as so. So it makes sense when it comes to all of this. Plus, if you look at a lot of the other games, Luigi's Mansion 3 coming out this year, Animal Crossing coming out this year, and even if one or two of these games get delayed, they're still going to be coming out sometime within the next year or so. So I think that Nintendo needs to have those options and kind of make them unstoppable for 2019 at least. Now, we're going to have to wait and see what happens next year and what Nintendo has and everything like that, because there's going to be some next-gen systems adding to the fray. But I actually talked about how they can compete with those systems too. When it comes to the here and now, Nintendo's definitely unstoppable, especially after these sales numbers here and hearing about some of this other stuff that's coming. We know the games lineup, that's going to be really good. Astral Chain is going to be another huge one there. That's really going to get people's attention when it comes to the Nintendo Switch Pro or the new Nintendo Switch, whatever stronger version of the Switch that they do have. I think people are going to want to pick those two games up, or that's going to help out with that. But honestly, guys, it's been incredible to see, and I think Nintendo's on a path here that's really going to set a lot of records for them, which is good because the Wii U obviously didn't do great. And now with the Nintendo Switch doing a lot better, we're seeing a lot of cool games come over. Mortal Kombat 11 just came out. Dragon's Dogma just came out. Been playing that. Fantastic games, and we're going to get a lot more because of the success of the Nintendo Switch. So got to keep that going. So what do you guys think about all this different news here? Can Nintendo be stopped? Is Nintendo unstoppable in 2019? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go to check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go to give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.